Dear students, good morning. Hope you are all fine and taking care of your health. We have been discussing on the drama Oedipus the King, and I have already completed the discussion on the plot of this drama. How there are 8 important revelations that change the life of Oedipus. How the after effects of tragedy, the tragic actions or the crimes done unknowingly affect Oedipus and Yocasta's life. How they meet their sad end. For Yocasta, she commits suicide, and Oedipus, he blinds himself so as not to see anything in this world thereafter. So we have seen the plot in this drama. Now let us discuss the important themes and characters in this drama. Which are the important themes? First we will discuss about the themes, then we can look at the characters. So when it comes to the discussion of themes, one most important theme that we see is the power of fate. What is destined to happen is going to happen for sure, and that is what we see in this drama. So power of fate is the most dominant theme throughout the story of this drama. We see that no action that is taking place in this drama is in human control. Oedipus unknowingly has killed already. He has already killed Laius unknowingly, and he was his father. And this fact was unknown to Oedipus. But it was prophesied by the oracle of Delphi. When it was prophesied that Oedipus is going to kill his father and marry his own mother, Oedipus wanted to avoid that tragic incident, but ultimately it took place without his knowledge, without his consciousness. He kills Laius, he marries Yocasta, and still is unaware of the sins that have been committed by him unknowingly. Then when we see the other revelations in this drama, for example, the Corinthian shepherd comes and says that this king, when he was a baby, was handed over to him by a Theban shepherd. This also shows how fate plays a very strong role in the human lives. Oedipus, as a baby, was supposed to be killed, but in fact he survived somehow. The shepherd took pity on this baby and handed over the baby to another shepherd. And to make it even worse, that shepherd takes the baby to their king, to his king in Corinth, Polybus and Merope, who were childless. They treat him as their own baby and they raise him. And unfortunately, Oedipus keeps on thinking throughout his life that Polybus and Merope are his original biological parents. In fact, the fate has something else for him. So, nothing can avoid fate. Humans are powerless, no matter how much strong they are. Now Oedipus, when we look at this man, he is a very responsible man. He is a very great king. He takes care of the people of Thebes, but he cannot avoid his fate. Later, when we see that he blinds himself and he asks Creon to take him out of Thebes, that again is his own fate. He cannot avoid the circumstances of the actions that have happened in the past. Okay, so fate is shown to be extremely powerful element in this drama. It is in fact a drama of fatalism, we can say. Nothing is more powerful than fate. In fact, there are discussions. See, when we come to think of fate, there are two things: prophecies and beliefs. There are some characters in this drama who believe in the prophecies, and when they believed in these prophecies told by the oracle of Delphi, they try to take maximum care in order to avoid the dangers foretold in the prophecy. Oedipus, when he was young, he once went to the oracle of Delphi to consult and ask who were his real parents, and he was told that he was destined to kill his own father and marry his own mother. And in order to avoid that, he did not go back to Corinth thinking that Polybus and Merope were his real parents. So there are people who believe in the prophecies. For example, Oedipus, and then Creon. When there is the crisis of plague in Thebes, Creon goes and consults the oracle again, and in order to find out the solution to this plague, he also consults the oracle, and that is also a belief in prophecies. Tiresias, the blind prophet, in fact, he is known to be a wise old man. Although he is blind, he has the power to foresee the things. And in fact, in the beginning of the drama itself, he goes on revealing that that particular day will reveal to the king all the secrets of his life, and he will be into utter doom. So there also we see Tiresias foretelling the prophecies, and king here at one incident the king believes in the prophecies. But when Tiresias says that the king is in danger, the king is unable to believe in the prophecies told by Tiresias, and he in fact insults him. So sometimes you see that the person who is believing in prophecies, the same person may disbelieve in prophecies later. So it depends on his mood, especially King Oedipus. Then come to think of Jocasta. Right from the beginning, we see that she is skeptical about the prophecies. She does not have faith in the prophecies because she imagines that all the prophecies which were told to her and her earlier husband Laius, have not come true. In fact, she believed that their child, their baby Oedipus, was already killed by the servants. So, when king expresses his fear that he may be the reason for Laius' murder, Jocasta reproaches him, telling that it is foolish to believe in the prophecies because prophecies never come true. There is one more episode wherein king expresses the fear of committing incest. Then also she says even that prophecy is false because usually such things happen only in dreams. So she is shown to be a non-believer in the prophecies of the prophets as well as the oracle of Delphi. But unfortunately for Jocasta, the prophecies do come true and she meets her terrible end. So this is how we see the power of fate playing a major role in this drama. Now I have told some important incidents where fate plays a major role. There are so many other aspects related to fate. You please make a deep search for the other elements of fate and how the power of fate is expressed in this drama. It's a homework for you people. We see the power of fate in the revelations. Okay, the 8 revelations I told, all of these are related to the power of fate. So this theme covers almost the whole of the drama King Oedipus. Then the second important theme that we see is blindness versus sight. Sight versus blindness rather. Often it is said that what we see may be just a partial truth. The real truth may be behind the scenes that we usually observe, and it is the same thing which is happening in this drama. When I think of sight and blindness as expressed in this drama, I think of two characters. One is Oedipus and Creon on one side. Creon will discuss a little later. On one side we have Oedipus, and on the other side we have Tiresias. Now, it is very ironic and symbolic here. There are dialogues between Oedipus and Tiresias. In the beginning of the drama, when Oedipus has sent Creon to the oracle and Creon has come back telling the news that the murderer of Laius is in the city and we have to expel him, and only then the plague will be solved. King Oedipus sends for Tiresias in order to know who is the murderer of Laius. Now the irony here is that Oedipus has clear eyesight. He is not blind man. Whereas on the other side, Tiresias is a blind man, a blind prophet rather. So the blindness here is mocked at. During the dialogues and arguments between Oedipus and Tiresias, Oedipus gets angry at Tiresias because Oedipus assumes that Tiresias is accusing Oedipus of the murder. But in fact, the blind prophet is true. What blind prophet is saying? Although he is blind to the world, he has an inner vision which he has achieved through his own penance, his own dedicated efforts to know the power of prophesying. Although he is blind to the world externally, he has an inner vision with which he can see the ultimate truth that is there around him. It is extremely paradoxical because a blind man can see the truth, whereas a man with eyesight is unable to see the truth which is there in front of him but in a covered format. You see, Oedipus, he committed crime unknowingly, and that crime, the person whom he killed, he did not know that he was his own father, Laius. So in a way, even with eyesight, he was blind to the truth that was happening around him and that was playing havoc in his life. Oedipus, although he had eyesight, he had vision, he was blind to the fact that he was himself the murderer of Laius and he was the husband of his own mother. He was blinded to many facts that have already happened in his life. But the man with no eyesight has an inner vision through which he can foresee the things. And during the heated arguments between Oedipus and Tiresias, Oedipus accuses Tiresias that, oh, you are blind, you cannot see the truth. But in fact, it is very ironical. He himself cannot see the truth. And Tiresias, he is a blind prophet. he is given shelter by the king. So even though he knows the harsh truths about their king, he is not ready to tell that. But this is not understood by Oedipus. Oedipus thinks that Tiresias is trying to plot against him along with Creon. So even the argument that Oedipus makes, Oedipus has seen how Creon is. He has been living with Creon since many years, since he happens to be his wife's brother, right? He knew how Creon was. He knew how great Tiresias was. But when Tiresias tells the truth which hurts Oedipus's ego as a man, at this point Oedipus, although he has eyesight, becomes like a blind man and goes on accusing Creon and Tiresias for plotting against him, which is not true at all. So having an eyesight, he has been blinded in the beginning itself, because he feels that as a king his ego is in danger when Tiresias tells the truth. But it has to be true. There is no escape from the truth, right? And later, the man who boasted of his eyesight, who mocked at the blindness of Tiresias. Look at the power of fate once again. Oedipus has to lose his eyesight at the end of the drama. You see, Jocasta commits suicide and she is gone forever. But now, Oedipus, he does not commit suicide, but he believes that he deserves a punishment for lifetime, and that's why he blinds himself. So the blindness is symbolic of revelations of truth which we cannot see with the open eyesight. When the truth is revealed to him completely, he faces the harsh realities around him and then feels like blinding himself. So the blindness, the theme of blindness here is symbolically used for maturity and knowledge. Blindness, which we usually associate with the words like ignorance or darkness, but in fact in this drama it becomes the very symbol of maturity and great learning. Oedipus, at the end of his life, when he comes to know the truths about his life, he prefers to blind himself and is ready to face the punishment for his heinous crimes which he has committed unknowingly. We can also associate the theme of blindness to Jocasta's character, because although Jocasta is living with her own son, she is blinded to some facts. For example, there are some incidents which show us that even Jocasta is blind towards certain important facts. One thing, as a wife, she would observe her husband very clearly, and she would have easily recognized that there are marks of fetters on Oedipus's feet. But whether she saw his foot or not is not known in the play, but it is quite obvious that she should have observed his feet as a wife. She could have easily recognized that it was her own son, but she was blind to this fact. Or whether she ignored this fact, we don't know. So this ignorance also can be symbolized as blindness here in case of Jocasta. Then there is one more episode which reveals that Yocasta is blind, or she is trying to ignore certain facts. When Oedipus asks her, how did Laius look like? Yocasta says openly that Laius looked exactly like you. When she says this, the reader feels, didn't Yocasta have a doubt that Oedipus might be her son, or Oedipus might be Laius' son at least? So this is how we see that the people who have an eyesight act as if they are blind to certain facts, whether it is for security of their own lives is not known. So we can see this complex relationship between sight and blindness happening in this drama in the case of characters Oedipus, Tiresias and Yocasta. One more fact or one more evidence to the theme of blindness can be taken from the drama. You see, this man, Laius, was a great king of Thebes. When he was murdered, how come is it that people did not know who was the murderer of Laius? The escaped person, the escaped Theban shepherd, also hides this fact. He is also not ready to utter what he had seen during the crime scene. What was the justice and legal system of Thebes doing? Did it not investigate into the murder of Laius? Does it show that Theban citizens were blind or ignorant, or they were purposely ignoring certain facts? So this is also a matter of doubt when it comes to the theme of blindness. So this becomes an important theme in this drama. Sight and blindness and their ironical relation. Then, a very important theme is that of parricide and incest, that is sin. Sin also becomes a dominant theme in this play. Sin in this drama is represented in 4 different acts. One is parricide. Of course, this parricide means killing one's own father. It is not directly shown in this drama, but it is recounted, right? Then the other one is incest. The third crime is suicide. The fourth crime that is seen in this drama or considered as sin in this drama is self-mutilation. Interestingly, the first 2 sins are done unknowingly, unconsciously, because Oedipus does not know that he killed his own father. Parricide. Somehow it happened because of fate. This also can be a proof of impulsive nature of Oedipus when he was young. Oedipus, just imagine that there are 2-3 roads joining at a point. Someone wants to travel on this road and you have to go on the same road. What we will do in usual circumstances? We will give way to each other. But what happened during the incident of Laius' murder? Both of the parties started quarreling as to who will travel first. and in his impulsive behavior, Oedipus, being a strong young man, went and killed Laius. So the impulsive nature in Oedipus led to a sin which he committed unknowingly, that is parricide. He killed his own father, but unknowingly. We cannot say that he killed unknowingly. He killed someone with complete consciousness, but he was unknown to the fact that the person who is murdered by him is his own father. The second one is incest. Even this sin is committed by Oedipus unknowingly. Oedipus, being a young man, could have got other queens as well, but since he was a believer in the tradition of the earlier empires, and usually the old widowed queens were married by the new kings in those times, he happened to marry the widow of King Laius, who was his own mother, and this was also done unknowingly by him. So the first two crimes, we can say that these were done without his knowledge as to what he is actually doing there. But the next two sins that are committed in this drama, that is, one is suicide, which is also considered as a sin, okay, and self-mutilation, even harming oneself unnecessarily, is also considered as a crime. Why should anyone harm oneself? Okay. So even self-mutilation, harming oneself, is also considered as a crime. These two sins, these two crimes are done with complete consciousness. Now Jocasta commits suicide and Oedipus commits self-mutilation by blobbing out his own eyes. These sins are done with complete consciousness, Jocasta, and these are done out of shame, a sense of shame and guilt. Okay, so this is also an important sub-theme, we can say, guilt. Jocasta is unable to bear the fact that she has married her own son, and when the whole truth is revealed to her, she goes and commits suicide out of guilt. And then Oedipus believes that death is not the ultimate punishment, and punishment for such crimes as parricide and incest should be lifelong suffering. Therefore, instead of killing himself at one go, he prefers self-mutilation, by which he can remain in pain throughout his life in order to purgate himself from the sins he has committed. He wants to become a symbol of guilt and sin, and thereby be ashamed of in the public. Therefore, he prefers self-mutilation knowingly, in the sense of guilt and shame. So this is another important theme, the theme of sin, whether committed knowingly or unknowingly, doesn't matter, but this is an important theme in this drama. Then, this drama is also about power. Oedipus is king. He is in the powerful position. But Oedipus proves to be a very great king for the people of Thebes. He does not misuse his powers. Although at some moment we feel that he is on the verge of misusing his powers when he blames Tiresias, when he accuses Tiresias and Creon for plotting against him. we see that he is on the verge of committing a mistake by misusing his power, but Yocasta does not let him do that. And he exercises his power for the betterment of people of Thebes. Use of power. The king is warned by Tiresias not to go much into the details of the murderer of Laius. Even Yocasta at certain point asks him, what is the need to pursue the truth at this much cost? But Oedipus has to do the justice for his seat. He has promised the people of Thebes that he will find out who is the murderer of Laius and send him out of the city of Thebes and save the people. He had power with responsibility, and he in fact behaves like a king, very responsibly, keeping his own safety, security at stake. At certain point during the revelations, he is getting much sure that he himself might be the murderer of Laius. Then he should have stopped, he might have stopped the investigations, but as a king, he was responsible, he was answerable to the public, and there he shows how he is a worthy king, although he has committed crimes unknowingly. He uses his power for the good of people, and Theban citizens have a great faith in Oedipus because once upon a time he proved to be powerful by solving the riddle of the Sphinx and saving the people of Thebes from the Sphinx. So he is in a powerful position and people have faith in him. So Oedipus becomes a great symbol of good use of power or authority. He is a king, he might have done anything. When he came to know that his safety is at stake, he would have stopped the investigations, but he does not do that. He pursues the truth and finds out who is the murderer of Laius. In fact, he bears the pain when he comes to know that he himself is the murderer, and he abides by his words. He keeps up his promise, and that shows that he is very good at using his power for the good of people and good of the state. So that is about the themes in this play. One more thing I would like to highlight about power. Being in a powerful position is not easy, but it also gives a sense of responsibility to the king, and also a sense of insecurity to the powerful position is also seen in Oedipus. When Tiresias comes and speaks in front of the king that you are the murderer you are seeking, king starts having doubt that Creon wants to take my position in this kingdom, and that's why he is trying to conspire against me with Tiresias. So he has power, but he is feeling insecure about his powerful position. So this is another aspect to power as shown in this drama. So I stop here the discussion on themes in the play Oedipus the King. In the next class, I would like to switch over to the discussion of some important characters in this drama. And then we will discuss about some techniques and some various elements used in this drama, its linguistic language aspects and its structural aspects and so on, and then complete our discussion on Oedipus Rex. Thank you.